So today I'm going to talk about beginner's guide to wine. What is wine? Wine is an alcoholic drink normally made from grapes, also made from either fruits or flowers. Three major types of wine is white wine, white, red, and rosé wine. Many people understand white wine is made with white grapes, but can be made with red grapes or black grapes. The proper way to make white wine is to take red pigments away and use up juice only. Red wine is made with black grapes. So how red wine is made, the winemaking process is pretty similar to white wine. The difference is grape skins and seeds are left during fermentation. The red wine is fermented at higher temperature to get colors, tannins, aromas, and flavors. Rosé wines are somewhere between white wines and red wines. Rosé wine is made with red or black grapes. How rosé wine is made, grape skins removed before it's colored. And it is fermented for a short period of time, about 12 to 36 hours. The popular style is by blending white and red wines together. There's two different corks in wine world, which is natural corks and synthetic corks. Natural corks and synthetic corks look alike but different in many ways. Both corks can be recycled. The difference is that natural cork comes from bark trees, while synthetic corks made from LDPE, low-density polyethylene, which is used in flexible leaves and bottles because it's tough, flexible, and relatively transparent. And natural corks allows wine to breathe, while synthetic corks cannot allow wine to breathe. Natural corks is easily crumbled, while synthetic corks is removed without crumbling or breaking. Natural corks, corktane is found in natural cork, and however, corktane is not found in synthetic cork. Corktane contaminates 3 to 15% of aged bottles. Synthetic cork is much more cheaper than natural cork. What is tannins? Have you ever sipped wine and your mouth feel dry? That's tannins. Tannin is a group of chemical exists in grape skins, seeds, and stems. It also exists in oak barrels, particularly new ones that use for aging. Tannins add bitterness and astringency in wine. Red wines have far more tannins than white wines because red wines are fermented with grape skins and seeds. White wines and young red wines have no or little tannins. Old world versus new world. Old world refers to traditional style of winemaking and is in cooler climates. Old world countries include France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Austria, Hungary, Germany, Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, and Moldova. Old world wines tend to be lighter bodied, meaning lower in alcohol percentage, less fruits, and drink with foods. New world refers to modern style of winemaking and is in hotter climates. New world countries include the United States, Australia, South Africa, Chile, Argentina, New Zealand, China, India, South Africa, and Japan. New world wine tends to be full-bodied, meaning higher in alcohol percentage, more fruits, and ready to drink. Vintage wine is the year grapes were picked. It is not the year the wine is bottled. For example, grapes were grown in 1999 and were picked in 2000, the vintage should be 2000. Every wine must have the vintage on the front label. So why vintage really matters? To make better wines, we need better grapes. It's that simple. Just like on other crops, grape has a good growing season and bad growing season. Depends on the weather, quality of grapes varies from year to year. Grapes that are grown in better growing season will make better wine. It is important to know whether wine is old, but also important to know the vintage was a great year for growing. Here are some basic steps in winemaking process. The first step is picking grapes. Grapes are picked by hand or machine and collected in each boxes. The second step is crushing grapes. Grapes are sorted on sorting table. The designer will remove stems from grapes and crush the grapes. With ripe grapes, they are transferred to a press. The grapes are pressed to extract juice and leave grape skin behind. The pure juice is transferred to tank to settle sediment on the bottom of the tank. After that, the juice is filtered out from the settling tank to another tank to ensure all the sediment is gone. With red wine, it's a little bit different. It's also destemmed and crushed. The difference is that grapes are straight on fermentation. The third step is fermenting grapes into wine. What is fermentation? It is converting sugar into alcohol. For red wines and white wines, yeast is added and fermentation takes place. There is two methods for red wine. One method is release carbon dioxide during fermentation. After a while, the cap is pumped over or punched down several times to keep skins in contact with the juice. The other method is the other method is pressed grapes after fermentation. After racking, the red will be aged in barrels. Fourth step is aging wine. The winemakers have lots of choices in this process. Wine can be aged for several months or years. Wine can be aged in stainless oak, old oak, new oak, American oak, French oak, or various levels of growth battles. The last step is bottling wine. Some white wines are bottled after a few months. Red wines are bottled after 18 to 24 months. So what kind of grapes can make wines? Grapes with higher sugar content and higher acid can make wines. Wine grapes are smaller, seeded, have thicker skins, and higher juice content. Wine grapes are grown to produce sweet and vigorous grapes. It's closer to 24 to 26 Brix levels. And when it is harvested, the Brix level is a scale to calculate sugar levels in a liquid. The fun fact is 90% of cultivating grapes are Vitis vinifera, and all of grapes are Vitis vinifera. All of wine grapes are Vitis vinifera. So what is foxy aroma and flavor? Foxy means musky and grapey characteristics of wine, usually made from Vitis labrusca grapes. It's nothing to do with animal fox. It's just much more aromatic than other kinds of wine. The cause of all this is methyl anthranilate, the compound that found higher in Vitis labrusca than in any other vines. So, how wines are named? Depends on whether wine is made in Old World or New World. How wines are named, it depends on whether wine is made in Old World or New World. In Old World, wines receive their name from the region where the wine was made. For example, wine is made in Bordeaux region and contains 70% of Cabernet Sauvignon and 30% of other grapes. It's still called Cabernet Sauvignon because the majority is Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh, no. For example, wine is made in Bordeaux region and contains 70% of Cabernet Sauvignon. It's called Bordeaux because it's made in Old World. The reason behind this is winemakers tend to feel that place has much to do with wine. In New World, wines are called by grape's name. For example, if Cabernet Sauvignon were used to make wine, the wine is called Cabernet Sauvignon. When winemakers choose 70% of Cabernet Sauvignon and 30% of other grapes, it's still called Cabernet Sauvignon because the majorities is Cabernet Sauvignon. So here's 10 lists of white grapes used for white wine. First grape is Chardonnay. It's grown in Europe, California, Argentina, Chile, Australia, and New Zealand. The color varies from dark gold to intense gold. The flavor is fresh fruit. The aroma is hints of vanilla, hazelnut, oud, and caramel. The second grape is Sauvignon Blanc. It's grown in almost all regions in Europe, Americas, and Oceania. The color is hints of green color. The flavor is crispy. The aroma is sharp and strong aromas. Third grape is Riesling. It's grown in and outside of Europe, Australia, Argentina, and New Zealand. The color is closer to yellow. For flavor and aroma range from fruity to floral to minerally. Fourth grape is Pinot Gris. It's also known as Pinot Grigio. It's called Pinot Gris in France and it's called Pinot Grigio in Italy. Pinot Gris is grown in Germany, France, Italy, Australia, Oregon, and California. The color is deep golden yellow. For flavor and aroma, French wines are spicy and full-bodied, meaning have rich, complex, well-rounded flavor. Italian wines are more acidic and lighter-bodied, meaning have subtle, watery flavor. Fifth grape is Semillon. It's grown in Europe, Latin America, South Africa, and part of Oceania. The color is deep golden. The flavor is bold and dry. The aroma range from subtle. The aroma range from food to floral to herbal. The sixth grape is Cruz Treminach. It's grown It's grown in Europe, Chile, and Argentina. The color is intense and golden yellow. The flavor is slightly sweet and light. The aroma is extremely powerful, so if it doesn't smell much, it's probably made from overly produced grapes. Seventh grape is Chenin Blanc. It's a French varietal grown in Europe, Chile, Argentina, Australia, California, South Africa, and New Zealand. The color is greenish yellow to straw yellow. The flavor is light-bodied, dry, and with fresh, clean taste. The aroma is melon, green apple, citrus fruits, and peach. So it's fruity. Eighth grape is Torrontés. The wine isn't that complex, so it's not popular among wine drinkers. It's perfectly matched with Asian and Indian dishes. It's grown in Argentina, Spain, Rioja, and Mendoza. The color is medium lemon. The flavor is white peach and lemon zest. Aroma is rose petals. The ninth grape is Pinot Blanc. It's often confused with Chardonnay because it's dry, medium to full body with bright flavor. The grapes are mutation of Pinot Noir. It's grown in Alsace, northern Italy, Australia, Germany, California, and Oregon. The color is pale to golden yellow. The flavor is peach, pear, peach, almond, crushed gravel, and it smells like almond, light spice, sometimes fruitiness. The last grape is Glera. Most of Glera wines comes from grape Prasco. It's grown exclusively in fully Venezuela, Julia, and Veneto regions. The color is pale yellow. The flavor is fruity and aroma is fruity. Here's another 10 list of red grapes used for red wine. First grape is Merlot. Merlot is loved for black cherry flavors, soft tannins, and chocolatey finish. It's grown in Bordeaux, Italy, Chile, California, Washington, and China. The color is deep blue ruby. The flavor is dry but fruity. It smells like cherry and cocoa. The second grape is Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is popular light-bodied red wine in the world. It's grown in Burgundy, United States, Chile, New Zealand, and Australia. The color is pale ruby. It tastes like cherry, raspberry, mushroom, clove, hibiscus. It smells like breadfruit, flour, and spice. Third grape is Shiraz. Shiraz and Shiraz are the same grape, but they're different in some ways. Shiraz is grown in Old World, but Shiraz is grown in New World. Shiraz grape is spicier, meatier, whereas Shiraz grape is sweeter, and fruitier. It's grown in France, Australia, Spain, Argentina, South Africa, United States, Italy, and Chile. The color is medium purple. The flavor is dark fruit. It smells like sweet blueberry to savory black olive. Fourth grape is Grenache. It's grown in France, Spain, Italy, United States, and Australia. The color is light, half translucent, meaning almost transparent along some lights. It tastes like medium-bodied, smells like orange wine, ruby red grapefruit. Fifth grape is Tempranillo. Tempranillo is #1 red wine in Spain. What's amazing is high-quality Tempranillo ages over 20 years. It's grown in Spain, Portugal, Argentina, southern France, Australia, United States, Mexico. The color ranging from medium ruby to medium garnet. It tastes like dry, full-bodied. It smells like cherry, dry fig, cedar, tobacco, and dill. The sixth grape is Sangiovese. Sangiovese grapes are indigenous to Italy. It's grown, of course, Italy, France, Argentina, United States, and Australia. The color is medium garnet. The flavor is medium to full-bodied, dry, acidic, with fruity and savory. The aroma is plum, cherry herbs, violets, licorice, leather, clay, tobacco, and smoke. Seventh grape is Malbec. Malbec grapes needs lots of sunshine and grow rich in dry climates. It's grown in France and Argentina. The color is medium purple. It has cakey and fruity taste. It smells like dark fruits, molasses, leather, black pepper, gravel, tobacco, and cocoa. Eighth grape is Montepulciano. It's the second most planted red grape in Italy. It is native to central Italy. It's grown in, of course, Italy, Argentina, United States, Australia, and New Zealand. The color is inky purple. The flavor is medium-bodied with strong tannins and flavors cherries and red berries. It smells like red plum, oregano, sour cherry, boysenberry, and tar. Ninth grape is Barbera. It's Italian red wine and third most planted grape in Italy. It is hard to be seen in the American market because Italians are saving for themselves. It's grown in Italy, United States, Australia, and Argentina. The color is very dark. The flavor is rich and light-bodied, and it smells like strawberry and cherry. The last grape is Pâté Syrah. It's a rare grape with planted less 10,000 acres around the world, and is first discovered in France. It's grown in the United States, Australia, Mexico, Chile, South Africa, and Brazil. The color is dark purple. The flavor is full-bodied with high tannin and half smoky fruit flavors. And it smells like sugar plum, blueberry, dark chocolate, black pepper, and blue tea and black tea. So why geography is important in winemaking? Geography influences a lot in winemaking. So here's 4 reasons why geography is important. The first reason is temperature. Some grapes are ripened quickly and other grapes are ripened slowly. That means average temperature determines which variety should be planted in which region. For example, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay grows best with an average temperature between 57 and 63 Fahrenheit. Second reason is climate. Weather patterns and Atmospheric conditions can develop or destroy wine grapes. The factors would be rainfall, humidity, wine frost, hail, and quality of sunshine. It will impact everything from tannin to effects of antifungal sprays designed to fight for vine mold. Third reason is elevation. High altitude gives two benefits. They are cooler temperatures at night and longer growing seasons. Chilly nights and higher altitudes helps wine to keep acidity and lead to elegant and age-worthy wines. Vineyards in mountain and hillside have more chance of getting direct and concentrated sunlight. Fourth reason is soil type. Soil type includes sand, clay, dirt, pebbles, pebble rocks, and combination in between. These soil types impact enormously on how the grapes grow up and to the kind of wine it becomes. And soil type determines nutrients availability, water drainage, water retention, and even less than immediate microclimate. So what is microclimate and what is microclimate? Microclimate is areas in which weather is different from surrounding areas. These areas are small areas like row of vines and section of vineyard. The areas are determined by soil elevation changes nearest to water or weather patterns. Microclimates heavily impact grape and its wines. For example, when fall comes down to vineyards, it's good for Pinot grapes, which needs less sunlight, but it's not good for Grenache, which needs more sunlight. So here's white wine producing regions in France and their white wines. So white wine producing regions are in France are Alsace, Loire, Bordeaux, and Burgundy. And Alsace white wines are Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris, Muscat, Pinot Blanc, and Crème d'Alsace, which is sparkling wine. Loire white wines are Chenin Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Abois, Pinot Gris, and Romantin. Bordeaux white wines are Passec, Lognan, Gravet, Anton de Mort, Sauvignon Blanc, and Semillon. Burgundy's white wines are Chardonnay, Aligote, Pinot Gris, and Sauvignon Blanc. Here's major wine producing regions in Germany. There are Baden, Württemberg, and Franken. In Baden, red wine includes Pinot Noir, and white wine includes Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Lothargo, Gottedo, and Riesling. In Württemberg, red wine includes Trollinger, Lemberger, Pinot Noir. White wines are Riesling, Lothargo, Carne, and Pinot Meunier. In Franken, wines are Malothargi, Sauvignon, Bachou, Riesling, and Carner. And here's major wine producing regions in Australia. They are South Australia, New South Wales, and Victoria. In South Australia, red wines are Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, and Malort. White wines are Chardonnay, Semillon, and Riesling. In New South Wales, red wines are Cabernet Sauvignon, white wines are Semillon and Chardonnay. In Victoria, red wines are Pinot Noir, Shiraz, Drif, and Cabernet Sauvignon. White wines are Chardonnay and Pinot Gris. What is the history of winery in the world? Tracing back to 5000 BC, wineries first discovered in Armenia. With analyzing the seeds that are left, the growing method of vines was not much different from today. So, which grapes are grown at this vineyard? Arnignor and Cacati grapes were grown in this vineyard. So, how are the wines fermented? Armenian would have fermented wine with large earthenware vessels that is below the ground. Georgia country is still practicing winemaking in these vessels called cuvevery. Are any of this wine a blend? Neither. None of them are blend wine. Which wines have the highest alcohol percentage? Arena contains 14.5% alcohol and Cacati contains 10.5% alcohol. Arnignor is the wine with the highest alcohol percentage. Which food would you pair this wine with? Arnignor wine gets along with traditional Armenian dishes and meat dishes. So what temperature do you recommend serving this wine? Since Arnignor is red wine, it's better be served cool with temperature between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Putting in freezer for 15 minutes will bring critical results. How long can you shelve this wine? Again, Arnignor is red wine. Unopened Arnignor can be shelved for 2 to 3 years, while opened Arnignor can be shelved for 1 to 2 weeks. Once it is open, it can be refrigerated to keep it fresh for a longer period of time. How can I tell if a wine is corked or bad? Cork means the taste of wine has been spoiled by cork. Cork wine smells like everything wet. When one sips the wine, it will taste flat and dull. Red wine producing regions in Italy are Piedmont, Tuscany, and Veneto. So what is the history of the vineyard in Italy? Settling in today's Sicily and southern Italy, Greeks recognized Italy's future for wine by fertile land. Greeks imported vines to Italy and gave land in the name of Onetria, which means land of wine. Which grapes are grown in this vineyard? Piedmont, Tuscany, and Veneto. Which grapes are grown in this vineyard? In Piedmont, Nebbiolo, Barbera, and Dolcetto. In Tuscany is Sangiovese. In Veneto, Corvinia, Molinara, and Rodinella are grown. How are wines fermented? Nebbiolo. For Nebbiolo, grapes are fermented, destemmed. Grapes are destemmed and loaded into tanks. Fermentation takes place at 28 to 30 degrees Celsius. The warmer fermentation will allow tannins to be extracted from the grapes. For Barbera is highly acidic. It's fermented using malolactic fermentation. Is a technique that turns harsh acid to softer acid. For Dolcetto is naturally astringent, so it's destemmed in order to not add more astringency, and then it is fermented. Sangiovese is fermented at a warmer temperature, and is often fermented until all the sugar is consumed. Continuing, for Corvina grapes go through appassimento process, which is drying grapes on straw mat and fermented at low temperature. For Molinara is being fermented with the skin. For Rodinella is well suited with appassimento method and fermented at low temperature. None of them are blend wine. Which wine have the highest alcohol percentage? Nebbiolo with 14.5% of alcohol is the highest alcoholic wine. What food would you pair this wine with? Nebbiolo wine works well with meat dishes, sturdy dishes, and a number of regional dishes, including tomato-based sauces, garlic, olives, pizza, and butternut squash. And Nebbiolo is better to be served between 60 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, since cooler temperature add more stringency. How long can you shelve this wine? Since Nebbiolo is red wine, on open one can be shelved for 2 to 3 years, whereas open one can be shelved for a week to 2 weeks. Nebbiolo wines have strong tannins, so it will last longer than that. How can I tell if wine is corked or bad? Corked wine with high level of TCA. TCA meaning powerful substance that causes musty flavors and aromas. Corked wine with high level TCA smells like everything wet. Corked wine with low level TCA is not so bad, like these. It just have no fruit or floral aromas. So here's our major red wine producing regions in Spain: Rioja, Ribera del Duero, and Catalunya. So what is the history of the winery in Spain? Archaeologists believe that Phoenicians first planted grapes somewhere between 4000 and 3000 BC. Soon afterwards, Carthaginians, who are from ancient Carthage, present-day Tunisia, brought new and advanced ideas for cultivating wines. Sangiovese, Montepulciano, Merlot, and Barbera are grown at this vineyard. How are the wines fermented? After stemming grapes are put into fermentation baths for alcoholic fermentation. Most often, red grapes go straight into fermenter, while white grapes are pressed before the fermentation. Sometimes white grapes are fermented in oak barrels and is added to start fermentation. Other times, original yeast that is present on all of grapes are used. So are any of these wine a blend? Rioja and Priorat are blend wine. Which one have the highest alcohol percentage? Grenache with 50% alcohol is the highest alcoholic wine. Grenache pairs perfectly with meats like beef, veal, pork, and chicken. It also holds up well to large dishes like cassoulet. It's a great match for less spicy Asian dishes. So what temperature do you recommend serving this wine? Speaking of Grenache wine, red and sweet wine should better be served cool at temperature 55 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. White and rosé wine is better to be served chill at temperature 45 degrees Fahrenheit. How long can you shelve this wine? Since Grenache is red wine, an open one can be shelved for 2 to 3 years, while open one can be shelved for a week to 2 weeks. How can I tell if a wine is corked or bad? Corked wine with high level TCA smells like musty, wet dog, wet cardboard, wet newspaper, and grandma's basement. Corked wine with low level TCA is not as bad as corked wine with high level TCA. It just have no fruit or floral aromas. Here is red wine producing regions in France. There are Bordeaux, Burgundy, and Rhone. Bordeaux grape types are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Malbec. Burgundy's grape types are Pinot Noir, Gamay. Rhone's grape types are Syrah, Grenache, Mourvedre, Cinsault, Carignan, and Petit Syrah. What is the history of winery in France? Greeks and Romans introduced vines to France and found the perfect growing conditions in many areas. In 5th century, church took over the in 5th century, church took over the vineyard, but at the end, lawyers and aristocrats owned the vineyard along with individual owners. Which grapes are grown at this vineyard? Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Croton, Cinsault, Gamay, Grenache, Merlot, Malbec, Mouve d'Or, Pinot Noir, and Syrah. How are wines fermented? After crushing, the grapes must send through a fermentation tank. It's an important part of French winemaking. Adding yeast won't be necessary because grapes that are used in French winemaking have their own yeasts. Are any of these wine a blend? Red Bordeaux wine, Bourgogne, and red rum are blend wines. Which wines have the highest alcohol percentage? Red rum with minimum 14.5% alcohol. Has the highest alcohol percentage. So what food would you pair this wine with? Red rum can be paired with any kinds of meat, grilled, roasted, braised, or stewed. It's medium body, fresh spice, and have red fruit characteristic. So it makes great match with beef, pork, game, duck, lamb, sausage, veal, and Asian dishes. It is perfect when it's served with soft and hard cheeses. So what temperature do you recommend serving this wine? Red wine is of course red wine, and it better be served cooler. With temperature, it is advised to serve at 13 degrees Celsius. How long can you shelf this wine? On open bottle can be shelved for 2 to 3 years, while open bottle can be shelved for a week to 2 weeks. So here's some interesting fact about wine. Why is the most expensive French wine? It is Romani Conti. Romani Conti is the most expensive. It is Romani Conti, and it's average $20,000 worth. Which French and Bordeaux is the most famous wine region in France. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Chardonnay are the most famous French wines. Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chenin Blanc are the best white wines in France. There are about 27,000 wineries in France, and wineries cover around 1.72% of land in France. What does terroir mean? Simply speaking, terroir is how climate, soils, and terrain impacts the wine's taste. This day terroir is to describe every wine region, so it has lost its meanings. What does côte mean? It's a French term, and it means wines from slope or hillside, usually along with river. Which country in the world produces high amount of wine in total? Italy is the largest wine producing country in the world, with producing 4.796 million tons of wine in every year. The 4 main wine classifications in France are appellation d'origine, Portugais, indication geographic Portugais, vin de père, vin de franc. So what is 27,000 Beaujolais Nouveau? Beaujolais Nouveau is being drunken. French people drink Beaujolais Nouveau to celebrate at the end of harvest, and it's celebrated every third Thursday of November. 27 Beaujolais Nouveau's color is slightly lighter than traditional Beaujolais, which color is deep purple. Can American-made sparkling wine be called champagne? Champagne wine is protected by European regulations called Protected Designation of Origin. The law protects the name of local product in Europe And recently, the law has been passed in America. So the point is, all sparkling wine in the US that is made before the law can still call champagne, but new sparkling wine cannot call champagne no more. Côte de Rhône, Rhône Valley and Côte de Rhône is not the same. Côte de Rhône is part of Rhône family, Rhône Valley. Côte de Rhône is wine name in Rhône Valley. 2004 of Domaine Romanée-Conti is slightly better than 2005 of Domaine of Romanée-Conti is slightly better than 2004 because 2004 wine production level was lower, while 2005 production level was higher than past years. What are 10 Beaujolais crus? 10 Beaujolais crus of Bouilly, Chêne, Trèblet, Côte de Bouilly, Brouilly, Fleury, Juliana, Morgon, Moulin Avon, Regny, Nier, and Saint Amour. These are 10 best wines in Beaujolais. So, what medium range French wine would you recommend? For red wine, I'll recommend Côte Brune and Mercury in Burgundy, Bourget in Bordeaux, and so on. For white wine, I'll recommend regular Chablis and Rouly in Burgundy, Grave in Bordeaux, and etc. For rosé wine, I'll recommend Côte de Provence, Côte de Roussillon. For sweetener, I'll recommend Cadillac in Bordeaux, Dragon and Montbazillac in Southwest, Lyon in Loire. In 2009, the total production of wine in France was 46 million hectoliters, about 3.5 billion bottles. Melon de Bourgogne grape is used in muscadet wine. So what is the difference between Hermitage and Crozes Hermitage? Hermitage and Crozes Hermitage are different appellations in Côte de Rhône, but are in same areas. Hermitage has long story, while Crozes Hermitage has short story. Particularly, Crozes Hermitage red and white wine are lighter than Hermitage. The big difference comes from soil. Heritage has less sand and clay, while Crozes has more sand and clay. Hermitage vineyards are in high hills, fully exposed to sun. Crozes Hermitage vineyards are in low hills. And there's this question. I have a bottle of Chateau de la Garden 1987 Chateau Neuf du Pape. Is it worth anything? If not, is it drinkable? It may have passed the best condition, but it's still drinkable. What kind of wines people used to drink in southern France? People in southern France usually drink table wine. More sophisticated red wine is their everyday drink. They're going for rosé wine on summertime. Chardonnay is one and only variety grows in Chablis. So how long Chablis be stored before drinking? The classification Chablis wine determines the storing period is specified on the label under the wine's name. Appellation Petit Chablis Contrôlé, drink now. You have to drink now. Appellation Chablis Contrôlé can be stored 2 to 5 years. Appellation Chablis Premier Contrôlé can be stored 3 to 7 years. Appellation Chablis Grand Cru Contrôlé can be stored 5 to 12 years. Monster grape is known as Mourvedre grape in France and is widely known in Rhône Valley. Chinon is a light-bodied red wine, and therefore huge glass will be necessary for wine to breathe and release aromas. A white wine glass and a typical red wine glass is suitable for Chinon. Thank you for listening.